I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to. And the more I explore, the more I realize it's the place to be. I'm Tom Dalton, and this is Under the Radar, Michigan.
There's no question that Petoskey is one of Michigan's crown jewels. It's a beautiful town filled with friendly people, great shops and restaurants, awesome bay views, and tons of things to do. There's no wonder it's such a popular summer vacation spot for so many families. But that's not our reality right now.
It's winter in Petoskey! Oh, God. I love you guys too. I'm gonna get a hot chocolate.
Petoskey is located on Little Traverse Bay, just 35 miles south of the Mackinac Bridge. And if you're expecting to catch the town hibernating, you're in for a huge surprise. Petoskey is wide awake in the winter. There are people everywhere. Businesses are bustling, and despite the cold, it couldn't feel any warmer. During our visit, we were lucky enough to stay at one of Petoskey's most notable landmarks, the Perry Hotel. Manager Reg Smith and his staff treated us to some great history lessons and even a ghost story or two. But fortunately, we only experienced the wonderful hospitality of this historic hotel. After settling in, we headed over to a really cool place right in the heart of town. Well, actually, it's two places. Up front, it's Simon's General Store, and in back, it's Chandler's Gourmet Restaurant and Wine Cellar. I met up with Simon's guru and Chandler's executive chef, Tommy Kazabowski. And hey, you gotta like him. He's a Tommy.
We had a Facebook fan say, if you're coming up to Petoskey, you gotta come here. And when they first said General Store, you get the impression that it's going to be one of those prefab places that is made to look like the old-fashioned General.
Right.
But oh my gosh, you come in here and this place looks, it's older than I am. I mean, this looks authentic. It looks real.
Very much the real deal.
How long has this store been here?
Well, it started in Boyne Mountain in 1956 by Chandler's dad, Tom, and it moved downtown in 1963. And it's been here ever since.
Not to mention, it's one of the first brick buildings built in Petoskey. And like so many places we visit, there's a great focus on keeping things local.
That's a big important part of having a general store too, is that we use the surrounding area to supply the store. You know, from Detroit to the Sleeping Bear Farms, to Brownwood Farms, the mustard, the jams, the preserves, there's so much stuff.
Now, for all you cheese lovers out there, Simon's also has one of the best selections you'll find anywhere in northern Michigan.
You know, anything from hard cheeses, soft cheeses, artisanal cheeses.
What cheeses?
Artisanal, very handcrafted from single batch of
by
cow.
artisans.
Exactly.
See? What's your favorite Michigan cheese?
My favorite Michigan cheese is Leelanau raclette. It's made just outside Traverse City. It's an old world style raclette. Yeah. Soft and pungent, really, really nice.
It's soft and pungent. This is really, really nice.
And what better to complement that than some fine wine?
So where are we going now, Tommy?
This is down into our wine cellar. It's Chandler's wine cellar for the restaurant and the general store as well.
Good, I like wine and I like cellars.
Oh, well, we've got a lot of wine in this cellar.
Oh my God.
Started 1956 by Chandler's dad. Michigan wines, European wines, South American wines. We have the whole gamut.
Not only is the cellar beautiful and rustic, it also doubles as a dining room for Chandler's. So you can actually come down here and enjoy some of Tommy's signature dishes surrounded by all of this, which we had a chance to do later that night with some newfound friends. I'm not sure if it was the great wine, the great food, or the awesome company that night, but when we got back to the Perry Hotel, we all slept like full happy Petoskians. After breakfast the next morning, I walked across town to a place everyone was telling me I just had to check out. It's called the Crooked Tree Art Center. It's a great old church right downtown that's been converted into a local creative hub, complete with a community theater and a gallery that exhibits some really cool local art, Michigan art. I really enjoyed the time I spent with Liz Ahrens. She's the center's executive director, and her endless energy and passion for art and this community was completely contagious.
When we came in here, actually my director, Jim, said something that hit me. And usually he's not right. Well, actually, he's right about a lot of stuff. But He said, this complex is absolutely amazing. And he's right. Where did you acquire this building?
Well,
I know where you acquired it.
Yeah,
it's here.
Yeah, it's right here.
How did you acquire it?
Well, originally built in 1890, so it's the Methodist Church, downtown Petoskey, and in the early 1980s, our organization, which was founded in '71, did not have a home. So they were moving out of the church, the Methodist congregation, and we had a group of people at the time said, we can't lose this gem downtown. Architecturally, it's amazing.
It's a beautiful church.
Worship space for concert space, gallery space, and so we bought it in the early 1980s, and it was kind of a falling down church at that point.
It's hard to imagine what went into rebuilding this church, but it was totally worth it.
Tell me a little bit about the programs or what you guys do here.
Well, we're year-round, we are busy. So a lot of people think of Northern Michigan just for summertime, but we have things absolutely 12 months of the year. So we have concerts in our theater, live theater. We do exhibits year-round. Local artists are our focus and our mission.
So is this place like the epicenter, the art epicenter for this part of Michigan?
It really is. We're kind of the umbrella we're an umbrella arts organization, so we help other smaller organizations, but people really look to us for the major programs. And then education is a whole other thing that we do. Dance classes, pottery classes. We teach strings, violin, viola, cello, and bass in 11 schools throughout Northern Michigan.
Now time to check out some local art.
And this piece caught my eye. Who did this?
These pieces are done by Rich Brandstrom. He's a good friend of the Art Centers. He lives in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh.
And so this is the found object art. And
Right.
so all the fish are individually, people buy one, and they decide they need one or two more.
Oh, it's not one piece. You can buy these
No.
separately.
Yeah, absolutely. And so people come and they find their favorite. You've got, bean cans and beer cans
You got
and corn
Budweiser
cans.
fish,
Yep.
and you've got, this is very unique. Tell me about this piece.
That is from an artist named Kelly Snively, and she is a little obsessive with the materials she uses.
Right.
So as you can see, these are all tops from beer bottles, and a couple local bars actually save the beer tops for her.
For her, awesome.
Yes, so she comes in and she actually creates a background to that. She does lots of work with collage pieces, and then she just, in her mind, this piece needed this little extra bit of...
Well, that's the handle in case you got to move it. You're cleaning, you got to move it off the wall.
ready to roll.
I just love it because this must have taken forever to do, and they're all distressed. You know what I mean? All the bottle caps.
It
so
is.
It's got a real, like, aged organic feel to it, even though it's not an organic thing. It's beer bottle caps, but it's very cool.
You might never think to visit a place like this when you're on vacation, but I'll tell you, experiencing local art is fun and it really gives you a great community perspective.
What do you love personally about the Petoskey area?
Oh, well, I tell you, we get to live and work where the rest of the world comes to vacation. For us, we get the bay is our backyard. For us, it's really, in this size community, I know the business owners, I know my neighbors. You really can have that, I can make a difference what I'm doing, whether it's spending some money at a restaurant or sending the kids to school. That word community has a lot of depth here.
The Crooked Tree Art Center really was one of those inspirational places that makes you proud to be from Michigan. If you're ever in or near Petoskey, do yourself a creative favor and check this place out. Next, we discovered a great Michigan success story. It's the story of two guys who took advantage of Michigan's tremendous resources and are now literally enjoying the fruits of their labor. Since its inception in 1981, American Spoon has been using local ingredients to produce some of the finest preserves in the world. And it all began right here in Petoskey. I met up with Justin Rashid at the factory to talk about how it all came to be.
Many years ago, it's been 28 years ago now, I was a wild food forager. And a friend had introduced me to a New York chef who wanted to be the great American chef. So he wanted to use all American ingredients. And I began to supply him first with Michigan morel mushrooms that I picked myself. And he said, what else do you have? And I said, well, what else do I have? I mean,
I'm in Michigan.
I'm in Michigan. You're the fruit capital of the world. And I started to send him wild berries. And then we got to the point where we got more fruit than he could use in his restaurant. And simultaneously, I brought him out here to visit a buffalo farm in Traverse City. And as we were driving down to the buffalo farm, he, being a typical New Yorker, he'd never looked at a map. So as he looked to the right, he kept saying, we've been following this same water for a long time. What, is this a lake or a river? What is this? I said, well, that's
Lake Michigan was?
That's called Lake Michigan. It's one of the Great Lakes. He said, how big is it? It's very big. It goes all the way to Chicago. It's 100 miles across. And he said, one more question. What are all these trees that I see growing in rows? I said, well,
They're fruit trees.
These are orchards. Those are fruit trees. This is one of the most superb microclimates for fruit culture in the entire world. Those are cherries and apples and pears and plums and apricots. And he said, really? And the very next thing he said was, can you make jam? And I said, well, I grew up with my mother making jam. I'll tell you what, you give me a recipe, I'll find the fruit, and we'll make jam. That's how we set out to make the best preserves in America from Michigan fruit.
Now, you're a Michigan company. You employ a lot of Michigan people. What do you love about doing business in Michigan?
Well, it's my home state. I love Michigan. I think the people, there's always something new to discover here.
An American Spoon is one of those great Michigan discoveries. Next, we got a chance to meet Chris Dettmer, a San Francisco transplant and former Iron Chef contestant who now heads up new product development here.
No, I was really excited to meet you, Chris, because I saw you on Iron Chef, Battle Oatmeal, and he won.
We won, yes, sir.
That's
Very
awesome.
exciting day.
I thought I recognized you. Anyway, so you're the R&D guy here.
Correct.
So, it must be fun doing research and development on food.
It's just a lot of playing around all day long.
Give me a little bit idea of the quality and what you do.
Well, we try to stay extremely local to northern Michigan. You know, these cranberries for this product here came from Sheboygan, Michigan Cranberry Farm. The apples and the pears in those products came from Frisky Orchard, which is about half an hour south of us.
So what are some of the more outrageous things that you R&D, that you research?
You know, we're a traditional preserve making company, so we can't go nuts.
Right.
You know,
Just fruit, no nuts, right? Okay, I get it.
Just fruit, no nuts. But we're still, you know, trying to be creative. Like the cranberry you just tasted. Michigan cranberries, but we're taking these kind of exotic, maybe you would call them Indian spices. And
I
kind
totally
of
taste that too.
Hitting it with that. So it's very subtle, but it's you know, creating a local product that has a new flavor profile that you really wouldn't experience elsewhere.
You're like the mad scientist of fruit.
Thank you, sir.
You're doing a good job.
When all was said and done, I bought a couple jars of Michigan cherry raspberry preserves for my wife, Kathy, and she's a gourmet cook, so major points for Tom.
Now, if you're watching this show when it's summertime, you should still come up to Petoskey because it's awesome up here. But wait a minute. That means I'm talking to you in the future, which means I could mess up the time-space continuum or something and collapse the universe. I better get Einstein on the phone. I'll be right back.
Now, in my hunt for a phone, I happened by the City Park Grill, another landmark establishment in Petoskey that's got some really unique history.
Well, they tell me Ernest Hemingway used to like to come in here for an occasional libation, so I'm going to find out if that's really true. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. What'd you make me?
Well, this is what we call the Hemingway Martini.
So, Ernest Hemingway used to come to this bar.
That's correct. From the research that we've got, he did spend a good amount of time here, and his family has a home on Walloon Lake in the area.
Really? Now, where exactly did he sit at the bar?
Well, from what I understand, he's always sat in the second seat from the front of the bar. Right?
Hold on a second. 1, 2,
That's the one.
I'm honored. What do you love about living and working in Petoskey?
It's a great area. It's a great area to, you know, enjoy the outdoor amenities that northern Michigan has to offer: sailing, kayaking in the summer, golf, skiing in the winter.
Like he said, regardless of the season, there are tons of things to do in Petoskey. You really owe it to yourself to make a trip up here. We had an absolute blast.
You know, I can totally see why you love this town. Cheers, Ernie. Well, that's right, you can't drink. You don't have arms. Farewell.
Under the Radar Michigan is brought to you in part by the Michigan State Housing Development Authority.